Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. It's Tuesday. It's just after 9 p.m. Eastern. Where else are you going to be? Here with us with the Scho Bro Show. I am Dave Schofield, co-editor behind thesteelcurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. And with me, as always, is my old big brother, Rich. Rich, how you doing?
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Sorry, I've got a you now match the number of ingredients in Heinz ketchup. Is that how that works now?
No, nice try.
Right?
Nice try.
Is it Heinz? Is it 40 or is it 57?
No. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's the 47? I know there's a 47 somewhere. Sorry. Got to put that out there. Talked about you for a long time on The Hangover last night. I don't know if you caught that or not, because yesterday, as someone already put in the live chat, I got to put it up here. Can't I don't know who was first. Well, it's here. Steeler chick 46. It's her birthday today, and yesterday was your birthday. Wow, you guys are right there. But yeah, they talked about that for a while. Last night, I couldn't find the one. I'm sorry. It's just too much to do. So did you have a good day? You have a good birthday?
Yeah, birthday was yesterday, and let's
you go fishing?
Both the kids were off from school. Renee took off work to take Alexandra and her friend prom dress shopping.
Oh,
and I went to work.
And you went to work for your birthday.
Yep.
So that happens. That's how most people.
It's okay, though. I'm taking tomorrow off. Kyle and I are going fishing.
There you go. Take tomorrow off and go fishing. So, and it was nice to see you over the weekend in person and not just through the screen. Because see, you also share a birthday with your twin niece and nephew, which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
So it's Steeler time. Let's get to Steelers news. And do you know what's going on right now with Steelers news?
No,
you heard the big news today, right?
No, I probably didn't.
Because there wasn't any. There's not much going on right now. This is the lull, the ultimate lull in free agency.
No,
go ahead.
Hold on. Here's what happened today. I read this morning a story. I want to say it was Schefter or somebody reporting that they felt the Steelers were going to be the landing spot for Sam Darnold. And not more than an hour and a half later, it's not.
Yeah,
and I was
that might have been yesterday.
Reporting, and I'm like, no, not going to happen. No, probably not. Wrong. Next thing you know, Carolina. There goes Mr. Darnold. Good.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on the guy.
That's interesting, just because it changes the dynamic of the first round of what people will be looking for. So to say, oh, this has nothing to do with the Steelers, it could change who's drafting who and what and everything else. Yep. I'll be honest with you. I ran a mock draft. And this is something we're going to talk about later. I ran a mock draft. I didn't finish it because I just wanted to see kind of how it was and how it falls. It's funny. I sometimes I get 2 to 3 rounds into a mock draft. And I'm like, this isn't going how I want. I'm getting rid of it. Because of the trade, the Steelers at 24 had the option of drafting Justin Fields in my one mock draft. I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen on draft night, but that we'll talk about some of those scenarios going on. So it's funny because someone mentioned something here about Steven Nelson.
I saw that.
Pittsburgh says Steven Nelson was whining on a radio interview. Actually, Steven Nelson just tweeted out calling out a Pittsburgh Steelers beat reporter for spreading rumors about him. I actually just reached out to Steven Nelson about 20 minutes ago. Actually, it was, probably 15, 20 minutes ago, and heard back from him
20 minutes.
And told him, hey, if you want to put your story out there, all you got to do is let me know. And Steven Nelson says he's going to have a copy of it that he's going to tweet out, and he would appreciate the retweet. And I said, we'll do it. So I thought that was interesting. But so that was a little bit of news, just kind of how it went down. There was a report that they didn't even talk extension with him. I don't know. It's so much speculation at this point. And the fact that the two have parted ways, I'm not, it's not going to be a big focus. So we've got some other needs and stuff going on. I also wanted to bring it up because it was kind of fun. I got to tell you the story. on Sunday, I ran an article about how it's funny because Jeff Hartman, Jefferson Bartholomew Hartman, co-editor behind thesteelcurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. He asked me, he's like, all right, so he's like, did you get an email for season ticket holders? I said, yeah. He's like, well, what's going on? I'm like, oh, it didn't say much. It just said, ticket prices aren't going up and that, all other than the fact that there's going to be a 9th regular season game and only one preseason game. So the only thing that's changing is the difference in the price of those 2 games and all that. And just like, that's a story. You should write that. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. That's a good story for me to write. Well, my story actually got quoted by Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk later on Sunday. And it's funny because we saw similar stories to mine floating around late Sunday night. And just like, these people were taking your story. I'm like, really? And they didn't quote me or anything. Some did, but some didn't. The same person that got called out by Steven Nelson. Sorry. But that's because I didn't realize about the Pro Football Talk story. They were taking it from that story. And I didn't realize that no one had really got that news out there, that the Steelers did not raise their prices for their season tickets this year, which in turn means they're single game tickets. So that was pretty cool. And that was an article I wasn't even going to do, except it was Jeff's idea. So that was pretty cool. So I had to text you about that one and be like, hey, I just got mentioned by Mike Florio. So that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Other than that, not really much going on. And that's kind of a good thing. You don't want to hear Steelers in the news for the wrong reasons. There's some teams out there that are dealing with that. So I don't know about you. The main thing is we're in April. You ready for this draft?
Yeah. I wish it was tomorrow.
I wish it was tomorrow too.
Yep.
Yeah. So bottom line is I pay Dave. No, they didn't take my story. They quoted my story and linked back to behindthesteelcurtain.com. So it was great. So, which is what we also try to do when we cover other people's stories as well. So let's talk draft, because what else is there to talk about? One question before we dive into this topic, because this is going to be some fun tonight. Do you think the Steelers make another free agent move at this point, or do you think they might be wiser to wait till after the draft? 1, to know what they get in the draft, and 2, to not count against the compensatory formula.
Yeah, I would imagine they're probably done for now. I think they may wait till the draft, unless something it would have to be something that they're just like, oh, wow, hey, this is a really player we kind of would like to get a hold of and can do it for a really good deal, and kind of can't pass on. Other than that, I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, right now, from what I've gathered from overthecap.com, any salary that comes out to a yearly average of $2 million or less is not counting in the compensatory formula. So whether it's because they're doing it specifically for that or not, if the Steelers make any kind of signing, I don't see it having more than that amount of salary attached to it, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does make sense.
But I mean, I know a lot of people, I wouldn't mind seeing the outlaw Jesse James back in a Steelers uniform. That's one I know that's mentioned in the live chat. Carl Joseph, the safety that was drafted in the first round by the Raiders and then played last year with the Browns. He came in for a visit. No news on that. So usually when you get no news, there's not movement there, but that might be something that they're keeping in mind for later. So there's a good chance that what we're talking about now when it comes to the draft might hold true by the time the draft gets here. But of course it might not. So what we're going to do tonight is I had an interesting article today. It was actually, I did a follow-up because I did one over the weekend asking the question of, was inside linebacker or outside linebacker the bigger team need, whether free agents or through the draft? And because of that, I'm like, well, maybe I should go to the defensive side of the ball. No, I was on the defensive side. The offensive side of the ball. Sorry. So I've raised the question of center or running back. So that's an article right now at behindthesteelcurtain.com, and it's got a lot of comments on it right now. I think the last I checked, it was like over 120. So like 124 comments on it right now. And there's a poll question in there asking about it. So, but the bottom line is both positions were one of need. So what I thought we would talk about tonight is the Steelers are scheduled to have 8 draft picks. What positions? We'll get to it eventually, but what positions do you think are going to fill out those 8 picks? So I asked Rich to come up with a list. I've got my own list here. I don't want you to see it too much. And we're going to look at our lists in no particular order to check off what positions we think the Steelers might draft. Then we'll look at some questions with that, maybe look at where we think they could go later on. But let's just look at this list. You ready to do this, Rich?
Yep.
You can go anywhere you want to right off the bat. Give me one position, and you might want to go with the one that you're most confident in. Give me a position you believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to draft in the 2021 NFL draft.
Man, I don't know how confident I am in anything. So I got a lot of them sitting here. The Steelers will draft the center in the draft.
The Steelers will draft a center, and that is also one that I had on my list, because something I brought up today was not only do they have a need at the top of their depth chart, they have an opening on the actual, they only have 2 guys. So it's not like they don't have, it's one of those things where they do need more bodies at that position, and they could really use an infusion towards the top of the depth chart. The only question is how high they're going to go with that, and we'll get to that. So, center, do you want to do another one, or do you want me to throw one out?
Nope, you throw one out, and I'll tell you if I have it.
Okay, I have offensive tackle.
Yes, I will take that. I have offensive tackle / guard. I was looking for one of those like goalies.
So you want to? Okay, so you specifically would like to have a player with position flexibility. Now, sometimes you get that flexibility between guard and center, but you're thinking of guys that are like that could be guard tackles. There's a couple of them out there, a couple of them high on the draft.
There are.
So you would like to see them take a guy that has that could end up with either. I think the Steelers, you could be looking for maybe a couple years down the line with David DeCastro. I think they're set with their starting guards for this year.
I think they are too, which is why I'm leaning towards an offensive tackle, but a guy that could.
But if it's someone that could slide
later on to guard,
all right, that's good. That's great. All right, so that's one that we kind of agree on as well. Next up, I'm going to let you go.
Yep. Steelers will take a cornerback.
A cornerback. Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, I had that one as well.
Yeah, of course you did.
That chances are they will do that, if nothing else, for depth.
Yep.
Could they pass on it and look to go undrafted free agent? They could.
They could.
But I think they'll probably draft one. So, yeah. So, all right. So, there we go. I got that checked off. You went to defense? I'll go defense.
Okay.
Outside linebacker / edge rusher.
Yep. I have one of those as well.
Yep. So that obviously, the Steelers only have 3 guys. Yep. So you've got to get somebody else there. So, and I've heard other people say it. I kind of brought it up in my article over the weekend. You need an Alex Highsmith for 2020 Alex Highsmith.
Yep.
You need someone in that role. So, and I don't think Cassius Marsh is ready for that role. I'm still telling you, I'm not shocked if he makes this team, because he does do well on special teams, but I really don't want him to be, he's the kind of guy that I'd like to have out there at outside linebacker when there's 3 minutes left in the game and the score is 35-7.
Yep.
So, but that's just me. All right. So there we go. So far we both have center offensive tackle. You said slash guard. You'd like some position flexibility there. Cornerback and outside linebacker. We are very agreeable so far. Yep. So there's 4 down and 4 to go. What do you got?
In the 2021 NFL draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers will take a running back.
Yeah, I think they will too. And I've said this with this one, go big or go home. I said in my article today, do you want to keep throwing mid-round draft pick running backs out there year after year after year after year?
Yep.
So I would not mind, the more time goes on, the more I'm like, that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. So that'll be interesting. I, of course, also had running back. You ready?
So we're 5 for 5 here.
5 for 5. I said, and I'm going to go with one that's more of a flyer. I think they're going to add an inside linebacker.
I had that as well.
Did you? All right.
I did.
Okay. So I think they will. And that's a position that I would love for them to either go big or go home. But the more I look at it and more they haven't been able to depend on UG3, I think he's going to struggle to make the roster. They do have some, if they don't, they have some other options out there in free agency and things that they could do. But I think if the right one's there, I could see them pulling the trigger there at some point. All right. So that's 6. We've got 2 left and we're like in total agreement so far. All right. Here's where
this is probably where we'll get off.
Okay. Let's see it.
I think the Steelers will draft the safety.
You say safety. Ooh. I did not have safety on my list.
I did not figure you would have safety on your list.
I did not.
I expect the safety late. Just
okay. I could see that.
We're clear on that.
I could see that. You ready?
Yep, go.
So I could completely see that because, looking at the depth chart, it would make sense. Safety was one in my mind that I had that I think that that if nothing else, they'll go undrafted free agent.
Correct. If they don't draft one, they will do that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they drafted one late.
You ready?
Yep.
Tight end.
I did not have tight end.
You did not have tight end.
No.
They've got Eric Ebron and as I almost called him the late grade, as Lance Williams used to say, dash guys. Now, I don't know if Gentry's really a dash guy. I mean, he was a 5th round pick. So that's if they don't pan out, they don't pan out. That's just kind of how it goes. And he was injured last season. Kevin Rader came on, played well on special teams, but man, do you really want one of those guys as your other guy in a 2 tight end set? Do you really want one of those guys to be your number 1 guy if Ebron misses a game? That's why I think they've got to do something there. And I don't think this is an extremely large tight end class. I really don't. But I wouldn't be shocked if they at least try to get someone else in the room. So, all right. So we've made it each through 7. We finally started disagreeing. You've got 1 position left. I've got 1 position left. You ready to go?
Sure.
All right. With your final position to list out of what the Steelers will take with their 8 draft picks, you have
a quarterback.
You have a quarterback.
I do.
I've taken a quarterback in a lot of mock drafts. So I could see that. We're going to talk about that. That to me is something that would completely depend on how the draft plays out.
Yep. Exactly.
So there's a couple, believe it or not, there's a couple mid-round guys. You're talking.
That's why you were telling me to pick 8.
You're talking. What's the name? I think is it Wake Forest as a quarterback? I can't remember. Yeah, that's interesting. Now I'm going to do something, and I hope you don't get upset because this was not against the rules. I hope you didn't think it was against the rules. Do you know what I have for my 8th?
You put in it, they would trade it.
No.
Oh, okay.
I put in outside linebacker.
Oh, no, I was prepared to potentially
Double
put two at one point in time. I had positions that I was thinking they might draft two.
Yeah.
But did not end up going with two anywhere.
Yeah, I went with outside linebacker / edge rusher again, because like I say, they only have 3. Now, they might not do that. They could look for undrafted free agent there.
Sure.
Let's right now, before we get into where we think these guys might, where these different positions we could see where they would fall. Give me some positions we haven't mentioned that you could see as or even the ones that we did mention that you could see as potential for them trying to grab an undrafted free agent.
You're going to see him probably some more undrafted free agent offensive linemen.
I was going to say that. I think you get at least 2 more.
Yep,
I wouldn't be shocked if you draft 2 and pick up 2 as undrafted free agents. And I think outside linebacker will be in that group if they don't draft 2 of them, for sure.
Yep.
I like safety for that group. I like punter.
And I can see that.
I like punter for an undrafted free agent.
I almost said they were going to draft a punter just for Jeff.
I did too. I almost did that just to mess with Jeff. To say, oh, you got to draft a punter because Jeff despises Jordan Berry and you got to do something about it. So that was quite interesting. So the thing is, out of these positions, you listed 8. Sorry if I'm banging things around. You listed 8. I listed 8. How many of them would you be okay with that they took on Thursday night out of your 8? So I will give everyone a reminder of what your 8 was. You know what? Why don't we just go through it one at a time, and I'll ask you. Okay, you're holding up 5 fingers, so I can see that. I'm going to ask you one by one through your picks.
The reason being, some of these they might only do if they could take them on Thursday night. Okay,
so center,
correct.
You think they could possibly go center in the first round? Okay, tackle / guard.
Yep,
I can see that too. Cornerback.
Yes, that was the third. That one was there.
Yeah, because if the right one that you didn't expect to be there is there,
correct.
Let's just say this: I don't see them reaching for a corner in round 1. They don't need to. But if they're like all of a sudden like, oh, yeah, this is someone. How do I say it? They didn't expect Rod Woodson to be there, and when they drafted, and he was. So if you have more of that kind of some of those guys that they're talking about that they're thinking could even go in the top 10, definitely the top 15, and they're sitting there at 24, I could totally see that.
Sure.
Outside linebacker / edge rusher.
I don't think so. No,
I don't think so either. And I even had to do, it's funny. I'm running out of players to highlight for Mock Draft Monday articles because I've covered so many of them. And then so many people are picking people that have already been covered that I've done. So I'm like, I got to kind of find one that's a little bit out there. Oh, man, did I rip this one up. Because, they had inside linebacker Micah Parsons from Penn State falling to the Steelers and the Steelers not taking him and taking a 4-3 edge rusher instead. And I was like, no. Not as bad as PFF's the week before where they had Steelers going edge rusher, when you had both the top center and all 3 top quarterbacks still on the board in round 2. They had them take a second edge rusher. So just crazy. Okay, so we said no for outside linebacker. I'm agreeing with you there. Running back. First round.
Running back, I said yes.
I say yes too. Like I say, I've never been a fan of it in recent years. Never in recent years. Boy, that's a Dave answer, isn't it?
Yep.
But in more recently, I haven't been a fan of doing that just because I don't think that there's the longevity there in their career. But if you're going to, it's almost to a point. If you're going to do it, you got to do it. So, what about inside linebacker?
I don't think so.
I'm going to say yes.
The only way Like it and corner were the two that I were hedging on. Like I had my 4, and I was hedging on those two because that basically has to come down to somebody you not expecting to be there is there.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I think it's a possibility, because honestly, let's just say this. If there's nobody, I mean, I'm sure there are, but because it's not the big need for the Steelers, there's no one at edge that blows me away in this draft. They're like, oh my goodness, can't believe, the Steelers could get so-and-so. There just isn't. No one that blows me away at, we'll get to it, tight end,
Right.
other than Pitts, who isn't going to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, if he is there, please run your card. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's just what it is. But inside linebacker, I feel, has some game-changing players that are ranked in the top 24, that if one of them was the best player for the Steelers, that I think they should do it in order to really shore up the middle of the defense. I don't think they have to, but I think they could. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we could be there. What about safety? You had safety.
No,
I don't see him taking a safety in the first round. They have 2 first-round safeties already.
Exactly.
And just had another one in to visit over the, at the end of last week. And here we go. Quarterback.
Yes.
If the right one falls, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, the Steelers could shock
I wouldn't have said that today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before the Sam Darnold trade.
Yeah.
I just think that your probabilities of somebody potentially falling there that you didn't think you could get went up with that trade. So
mm-hmm. Yeah.
We will see.
Yeah, teams are trying to all play it hush hush and everything else. I just lost my mouse. I couldn't bring up the super chat. We have a super chat here from Frodo Watt. Throws $1.99 into the tip jar and says, "What would you give in a trade for Stephon Gilmore?" I don't know that I would.
A half-eaten pizza?
No.
And even then, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, depends how hungry I am.
A 6? Well, I don't think I want to take on the salary. I think he's got a pretty good salary is the problem. You know what I mean? Yep. So that's the thing. I did see something earlier. I don't remember who it was. Said something about before long the NFL is going to be with 18 games since they expanded to 17. They can't under this CBA. It was written into this CBA that runs through 2030 that they cannot add any more than 17 regular season games. So unless the NFLPA comes asking for it, which
yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting. So we looked at some of these picks and where we thought they would fall. We're going to come back and maybe look at day 2 versus day 3 with some of them. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and do our break. End part 1, roll on to part 2, where we'll talk about some of these positions, because we've talked about it of, day 1, would you take them in the first round? You've got a couple day 2 picks that you got to think about there as well. And it's really interesting how it could all play out. We'll do that. We'll take some questions from you all, and then we'll have our big question at the end. So if you're listening in audio form, go ahead and click on over to part 2. And if you're here with us on YouTube or Facebook, hold on for a few seconds and we'll be right back. Pittsburgh Steeler fans, we're back with part 2 of the Scho Bro Show. I am Dave Schofield, co-editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. And with me, as always, is my big brother, Rich. How you feeling, Rich?
I'm feeling kind of...
feeling
kind
I don't know. I'm feeling nice
pudgy.
And toasty. It was a nice day here.
Ooh, yeah, it was a nice day here, too.
I'm ready for some spring. I mean, was it was it last Thursday where we had snow? I'm trying to remember, where we went from nice weather to snow to nice weather. And
Thursday night to
stuff. Yeah.
Friday morning, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So here we are. We've gone through the 8 positions we predict the Steelers will take in the upcoming draft. We're going to come back to this and after the draft and see how we did. But this was kind of fun. So let's run through in no particular order. Yours went center, tackle / guard. If it's someone who can play guard, that would be good too. Cornerback, outside linebacker, running back, inside linebacker, safety, and quarterback.
Correct.
All right. And then for me, I had corner. I split mine up in offense, defense, not corner. Center, offensive tackle, running back, tight end, outside linebacker, inside linebacker, and cornerback is how I think the Steelers will go. Now, they could always use some of their draft capital and trade up. They could also gain some more draft capital by trading down. And unfortunately, for some of the positions in need for the Steelers right now, it feels like they're kind of not picking in the right spot for the best people. You know what I mean? The worst thing is when you've got, where the best player at the position of your one of your biggest positions of need, if they're sitting there at number 45 on your big board, because or 40, between 40 and 45, because taking them at 24 is a reach and getting them to 55 is tough. That's the biggest thing I find when I try to run mock drafts. There's guys that I like that I'm like, but not in the first round, but they don't make it to the second round. So it's really tough. Do you think this could be a year that the Steelers trade back?
Yeah, very possibly. I could see them trading back in the first round. Believe it or not, still take a first round pick, but trade back, I don't know, 5 up to 5 spots or something and pick up an extra pick somewhere.
I've got an even better idea.
Or trade back to the beginning part of the round 2 and pick up multiple picks.
My idea. Now, sometimes you get the multiple picks to then whether you do this all in one move or in 2 different moves. I don't want the added picks, although I know some people are like, they have so many needs. I wouldn't mind if the Steelers traded, let's say you find the right partner where you trade back 5 spots in the first round, but they have a different pick in the second round, and you're able to trade, and you just swap out to move up 8 or 10 spots in the second round. You know what I'm saying? Where you don't actually gain an additional pick, but you drop down in the first, but yet you move up in the second. I was trying to find something like that. I think maybe Jacksonville was one of those teams because they have so many different picks, but at the same time, because they have so many picks, they don't really need to make the move, but they were a team I was looking at where it would be possible. So it just an awful lot of fun to think about that. I wouldn't mind the Steelers moving around and not even gaining picks. Just, I would much rather, would you rather have the 24th and the 55, or would you rather have the 29th and the 45?
Right.
I would actually kind of like scenario number 2 for me. So speaking of picks 45 or picks 55, we put so much emphasis on that day 1 pick, but then you got 2 more rounds in day 2. So when all in all, you've got 3 picks that the Steelers are scheduled to make between Thursday and Friday. Maybe we should do this for fun. Out of your 8, what are your 3 day 1 and day 2 picks? I didn't give you a heads up on this one, so this is you having to come up with it at the last second.
I thought you were going to ask me what position. I thought we were going to go similar before. You're going to say, "Oh, what positions could you see going in round 2 and round 3?"
I could, but then I thought this might be a little bit more fun.
5.
Yeah, I thought this might be throw you a curveball here, bro, and see if you can do that.
No, but see, that's not a fair question.
Okay. Because what they do in round one completely changes.
Will completely change what would happen in 2 and 3.
Here. It doesn't have to be your only pick. Just give me one scenario.
Okay.
Let's do multiple ones. Okay. Just come up with one that they'll go, this, and this is their top 3.
Okay.
Okay.
They could go running back, center, and edge rusher.
Okay. I think someone just put that in the live chat.
Did they?
Sherry Richards on Facebook.
Yes, she did.
Running back, center, and edge. Okay. I'm going to say, let's go tackle, running back, center. Let's go all offense.
That was one I almost said as well.
All running game.
About that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thought about that.
Okay. Do you got another one you want to do?
Yeah, because I'll just, because you never know. It could happen. You could go something like quarterback, tackle, and then probably edge rusher again.
And edge again. Ooh, look at that one. Okay. That's interesting. I'm going to go inside linebacker.
Yeah.
Center and running back.
Yeah. Right. So see, it all depends on how it mixes.
Exactly.
Then it also depends on, you get to round 2 and you took let's say you take a running back in round 1. Then you get to round 2 and then it's like, you think maybe you'd like to go this way, but again, what happens when guys fall? Somebody that you had in your top, 40 is sitting there when you're drafting at 55.
Yeah. Yeah.
You take them.
Yeah. And I got harassed on the preview Thursday night where I said I had to pick what position. I said, I want the Steelers to be set up to where they don't have to take a position and they truly could go best player available. We've got another super chat here I want to get to. Think if you have another one, I might have another crazy one that we could throw out there. But we got $5 from John Knox. $5 from John Knox. In the tip jar, thank you. He says, "Hey Dave, give some mid-round Steelers success rates or such like you do, like how they do in just." Come on, you put me on the spot. I'll be honest with you. I got not called out, but I was given a challenge by one Brian Anthony Davis about looking at how the Steelers draft and everything compared to the rest of the NFL. And I will just tell you this, I'm working on it. So the Steelers do have some good mid-round success. I mean, here's the question. You're going to find out even more of it pretty soon. Like Cam Sutton was a 3rd-round pick. I have a feeling after 2021, we're going to have a much better idea what kind of a 3rd-round pick Cam Sutton was. Okay. Right. Kevin Dotson's another one. I mean, right now he already looks like he was a steal in the 4th round.
Yep.
Let's give him a year as the starter, and hopefully we can still say the same thing at this time next year. They get some. The draft is so hit or miss, up and down the whole thing. I mean, obviously, the higher the pick, the chances are that the player can stick. But we know that's not necessarily the case. I mean, for every Peyton Manning, there's the Ryan Leaf taken right after him.
Yeah.
For every Andrew Luck, there's also a Jamarcus Russell. I mean, even last year, what number pick was it for the Titans? I don't even remember, with their offensive lineman that they ended up trading away for nothing to the Dolphins, who then cut him. I mean, 1st-round draft pick from 2020 and doesn't even have a team right now. So it's interesting,
It is. And, you're sitting there talking about different things, for every 1974 Steelers draft, you can go look up and find
the
a draft
1975 Steelers draft.
Exactly.
Which
you know, I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time here since the season ended, going back and just looking through every single draft that the Steelers have done.
Yeah,
and they have years where guys hit and you know and play and have long NFL careers. Sometimes some of it with the Steelers and some elsewhere, but guys that they were. It was like, yep, you can't argue with that pick. And they have years where they've had one guy maybe play at all for anybody.
Yeah.
So
Dean McCrae says it here. Says about 10 first-round picks are busts. I think he's saying each year, and he's probably that's probably close. I'd say at least 8 event. You would call them. And now the thing is, you could say that they're a bust, but it doesn't mean that they didn't have any NFL career. It's just they don't live up anywhere close to what you expect. I've got that coming. Chances are that's going to be our the Stat Geek podcast on Thursday morning, comparing numerically how the Steelers have fared. I'm still in the midst of it, and I found some pretty interesting stuff so far. Right now, yeah, like John Knox says, define bust though.
I look at it more as don't live up to expectation of draft position.
Exactly.
I don't like to talk about a bust.
Terrell Edmonds.
Talk about
Terrell Edmonds is the perfect example. If he was not selected in the first round, Steelers Nation would love him. But they're still upset that the Steelers took him when they did, and he had a decent season last year. And there's still people that are out there screaming, they just got to do something to get rid of Edmonds. Why? He's doing a great job with Minka Fitzpatrick back there, and he's got weaknesses, but he's also got strengths. So the problem is people just want him gone. And I did this article 2 years ago. I'm like, if I switched him and Mason Rudolph, I said, if you put Mason Rudolph in the first round and Terrell Edmonds in the third round, people would be more likely to think Rudolph could be the guy simply because he was drafted in the first round. And people would think that Terrell Edmonds was a great player and the perfect, Steelers story by being taken in the third round. So yeah, there's a lot of
we all set our expectations not only on how guys play, but where they were drafted.
Yeah, where they were drafted. You're exactly right. So I got some stuff coming out with draft. I also did my own top 5 Steelers compensatory draft picks of all time. So, you could look at them as mid-round because they don't start till the end of the third round. And the number one was obvious. It was one Hines Ward. It went Hines Ward, William Gay, James Conner. I put him up there because I know people are like, oh, Conner, but he was a Pro Bowler in 2018. You've got to look at it that way. I had Kelvin Beachum. I had Vince Williams. I had honorable mention of Mike Vrabel because he had a great NFL career, just not with the Steelers. He couldn't crack that starting lineup. And then I also had Alex Highsmith because the verdict's still out on him. So those are some other decent mid-round picks. So, Rich, do you have another or do you want to get to some questions?
Oh, I don't care.
We're going to take
the show where you want to go.
We're going to take maybe 10 minutes to see if we can answer a question or two. Now that boom, that's in the chat now. I'll look at it from that point on. And then we'll get to our big question that we ask you all. And then we'll call it a show, right?
Sure.
I lost where I was. Okay, questions. So, okay. They were saying, would you call Hines Ward a mid-round pick? A third-round comp pick. He was 92. To me,
if he was a comp pick,
yeah.
But see, at the end of the third, that's basically the beginning of the fourth.
But there was only 30 teams there. Right. That's the difference. Like now, I would say anyone over pick 100 is a mid-round pick, and so I would put him right on the cusp there. So, yeah. So if you have any questions, throw them here in the live chat. We'll take a few of them here for a few minutes. So now people are listing people they think were busts, like
we're busts.
Jarvis
Some people,
Jones.
Somebody asked, would you consider Bud Dupree a bust? No.
He got a big contract somewhere else.
Correct. And I also would say, that, in terms of Bud Dupree. After year 1 or 2, people were probably leaning bust, but as he continued on, no.
Yeah. To me,
Get it.
I'll bring that up in a second, but just say about a bust. Some people mentioned Ziggy Hood. That one's kind of iffy. I look at the reason I put Jarvis Jones in the El Busto categories because never played with anyone else after their rookie contract with the Steelers.
Yeah.
Never caught on. So here we go. $10 from Felicia. Hey, Felicia. Into the tip jar. She says, Almighty Oracle of BTSC. Dave, can you let us know ahead of time what games you, Big Bro, with Kyle, hopefully bad, and that what games we're going to so we can all tailgate. LOL, I can't get those ground tickets like you.
You can sit up with me, Felicia, up in the nosebleeds because
you can sit up there with Rich. So I will be honest with you. I would love to let people know what games I'm going to. There's a lot of factors. One, they've got to have, a decent capacity of fans in the stands. I don't know. They hope to have everything full. Don't know if it'll be full. Don't know how it's going. I'm not going to look at September and say that I think I have a definitive answer now. So that will change things. 2, they've got to release the schedule. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to drop and go to a game like the week before and be like, oh, yeah, I'll probably know well ahead of time. I'm probably not going to know when individual tickets go on sale, though. So it's not like I can do that. There's some people that are in the live chat that have talked to me. I know Solarverse is a new season ticket holder now. With the Steelers, actually, in my section, I helped him find good seats in my section.
Really? Good
so
yeah, you.
I said, hey, look at these. So there we go. So let's look at. Have you seen any questions yet? I was too busy talking to Felicia. Okay.
Yep. Hold on. Yep. We had a couple.
We got Marky. We got Marky D. Okay. Said, "G'day, blokes. Happy B-Day, Big Bro." Then said, I could Google it. However, have the Steelers ever had the number 1 draft pick? Yes, they have.
And who did they draft, Dave?
They drafted one Terrence Bradshaw.
That is correct.
So that's the last time they had the number 1 overall pick. So I think they've had it before, but that was the last one. I would have to go back and look at that historically. Here's one I think that was before Felicia's. How many comp picks do the Steelers have right now for next year? The answer to that, from what I've been able to figure out, is 2.
Yeah.
Because I know some people are saying, oh, they're not going to have any because they signed these guys. They've signed a lot of guys that are under the veteran salary benefit. They don't qualify as compensatory free agents. But the Steelers also thought they lost Tyson Alualu, and then they didn't. So at one point they were set up for 4. Right now you're looking of players that count, lost 3, gained 1. Joe Haig is going to count. And the 3 that they lost, of course, were Dupree, Filer, and Hilton. So it looks like Haig will cancel Hilton as we speak. And we're looking at, chances are, we're looking at Dupree as a 3 and Filer as a 5. So, and you find any other questions there?
All right. Bobby Broca Sr., if Lance or Fields fall to, say, Chicago or Washington, would you be on the phone if you're Colbert?
To move up to get them? There's no harm in making a call, because even if you make the call, doesn't mean you have to.
Doesn't mean you have to pay what they're asking.
Exactly. I could, frankly, Washington, if those guys are there for Washington, Washington's not giving up that pick. They're going to take somebody. So it would all depend on who it was. Where I wouldn't be opposed to making those calls, because what do the Steelers generally do, as we've said? They draft for their 2022 needs as much as anything. Yep. So right now with Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger only under contract for 1 more season, you could say that is a need, but that's still for debate how that's going to go. Andrew Wobar says, do you guys have any sleepers you guys have fallen in love with during the draft process? Have you looked into it that much?
Not really.
I have more mid-round guys. Like, honestly, Kellen Mond, the quarterback, I know mock draft, I took him as the 4th round comp pick. Got a cannon, take a flyer there. There's an inside linebacker from Michigan. I can't remember his name. I think I've taken him in the 3rd round in some drafts. But last year I had more names I wanted to see later than I even had this year because I had to focus on names later on because the Steelers didn't have a 1st round pick last year.
Right.
So I'll ask you this one. This is from Sherry Richards. Rich, would you trade back in the 1st and then trade back up in the 2nd or 3rd? We kind of already mentioned
mentioned that.
Yeah.
And you could.
Yeah. I would prefer that. I would prefer if you're going to gain capital by trading back to use that capital to trade up.
Trade back.
I'm even okay if they trade back and gain capital for next year, where they could possibly trade up. Cree wants to know this. Outside of wide receivers, what position would you not take in the draft? Because neither one of us had wide receiver. You said kicker. No, that's cheating. Me, even more than I wouldn't be shocked if they go wide receiver because they do it so often. I'm going defensive line.
Yeah, that's where I am too because we didn't take anybody there.
They carried one extra guy all last season, and all of them are back.
Yep.
They carried an extra guy, and all of them are back. That's a position. That's a good question, Cree. Some of these are people just part of the discussion, which are good. And then Andrew asked this. We said, what position of need could you guys see us not addressing at all in the draft? I'm going to get slaughtered for this.
Yeah.
But I would much rather see the Steelers not draft a running back than for them to draft one in round 5.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's
I was leaning that direction thinking, running back. Because don't stretch and take a running back, or don't take someone just because you feel we got to put another body in the room.
Yeah, and that really is the thing. Now, if they really like somebody like a Chubba Hubbard that they're going to take later because they think that that's their guy, but that's what they've been doing is taking a guy that they think is better than where they're getting him and taking him in the 4th round. I think they did it with Snell. I feel like that's what they did with McFarland. And it's like we say, definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. But that's why I said running back, but I also think that I don't like it, but I can see it happening because I mentioned it in my article today. If you could only take a center or a running back in this draft, I'm taking a center.
Yep,
because a good line can make an average running back look good. A great running back can look bad because of a bad offensive line. It's just ultimately how it goes. We're going to do one more. I haven't even looked past this one before we get into our big question. Would you take Najee or an OLB in the 1st round?
I'd take Najee.
I would not take an OLB in the 1st round.
I would not take an OLB
over Najee. Now, if I read that as ILB. There's a couple ILBs I would take over Najee, but but mainly guys that I wouldn't expect to be there, if you know what I mean. So, all right, we're going to get to. Did you want to ask the big question, or are you going to let me ask it?
I'm going to let you ask the big question.
Okay, we already asked it. Honestly, I got to bring this up just because it said this, and I needed to clear the other one off. We already asked it. Give me the 3 positions the Steelers are going to take in day 1 and 2. Now, don't put it up yet because I'm going to have it up here. I spelled positions wrong. That's going to be bad. There. It's up there. It's up. It's in there. Give me, if abbreviating would be good. Rich and I did it. We gave some different combinations. Give me 3 positions that you could see the Steelers going with that after Friday night we're saying, oh, they've drafted this, this, and this. It's just for fun because there's some great combinations out there. Here you go. Steel Dog 88. He was ready for it. Center, tight end, running back. Got to be the right tight end there. Okay. Gyro says running back, center, receiver. Okay. This is never ender, right? Am I getting it right now?
Correct.
All right. Yep. Offensive. I cheated with offensive line. Come on. Be specific. I should have said that beforehand, so I can't give you that hard of a time. Offensive line, running back, linebacker. And notice he said LB. He didn't say ILB or OLB. That's kind of we accused Jeff of cheating that way a couple weeks ago. Cree says center, running back, tackle. I could totally see that one. Okay. Moneybags, running back, center, linebacker. Okay. Nevius, is that right? Nevius Ashton, who had the last question that we had. Running back, center, and corner. See, corner's still that curious one that if one of those guys dropped, I could see them doing it just because, and then coming out in the press conference saying, "Hey, I'm sorry, we don't usually get top 10, top 15 talent that we can draft at the cornerback position because of where we're always drafted. So when you're drafted at 24 and you have the chance to get that talent, that kind of talent, the cornerback, you've got to step up and take it." Doesn't that sound like exactly what Mike Tomlin would say?
Yes, that sounds exactly like what Mike Tomlin would say.
Okay. Jeff Kuhn says tackle, running back, center. That's a common one. I would not be shocked at that one. Okay. Let's toast middle linebacker, running back, and some sort of offensive lineman. Yeah, that's intriguing. Inside linebacker, center, running back. All these are making sense. Running back, center, tight end. Okay. Offensive tackle, running back, edge from Donald. I can see the one. Sorry, the one before was Justin Conway. I forgot to give him credit for that. Okay. And I don't know if I gave George credit for his, George Teston. I got to remember to read the names. Yeah. Okay. Steeler Nation 412. Running back, wide receiver, center. Okay. John Moore says running back, center. He's going very specific. He's going left tackle.
Left tackle.
Gotta like that. Okay. Lumberzack 94. Offensive tackle, center, inside linebacker. Okay. And Andrew, I'm only going to bring this up because he is one of our contributors at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. He threw out names. Tackle, Darasol. Running back, Javonte Williams. Center, Trey Hill. He hopes. I'd be happy with those 3 picks right there. I really would be. Reginald says running back, center, outside linebacker. Okay. Neverender was happy because I said his name right. Okay. Dean McCrae says inside linebacker, center, tackle. Here's one. I was waiting for it to come, and I already mentioned him here earlier tonight. Solarverse, quarterback if one falls, center, and running back. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Kathy, longtime listener, always says that we're there for her education. I'm assuming that she's CR, I guess, is center. Sorry, I almost said cornerback. Center, running back, inside linebacker. Is that what you? That's how I take it.
Sure.
Yep.
Take it.
Yep. Richard says offensive line, inside linebacker, and quarterback. Yeah. Master of puppets, left tackle, center, tight end. Putting guys on the line of scrimmage on offense. There you go. Wait, we already got that one. So we got Eric says tackle, center, running back. Now, like I said, I didn't tell people they had to put them in order. So these are kind of interesting. Bobby says center, running back, middle linebacker. Says they've talked to a ton of middle linebackers. And then he says, but here's a corner. If Farley falls, they're going to take that. I could see that. I could see that as well. Clarence says running back, inside linebacker, and center. One of our Aussie blokes. Quarterback. It's a quarterback league. It's like if no other team can draft a quarterback
and stack them up.
Yeah.
Boom. Remember Madden doing that?
Yeah. Sherry says center, running back, outside linebacker. What is that? 27 Sin City. Okay. Linebacker, cornerback, defensive coordinator. I got 11. Michael O'Malley chiming in like every week. Center, running back, left tackle. Being specific. Okay. Eric might have said that. I think we already had him. Awesome stuff. Got to get his stuff in here. Running back, middle linebacker, and somewhere on the offensive line. Steeler Chick 46, center, inside linebacker, running back. Kyle Smith, inside linebacker, running back, center. I could see him going in that order. I really could. That would be crazy. But it all depends on who's there and when. So,
and that's really.
And I like this one. Eric throws in another. Best available.
Best available. Yeah.
I like that. At least go best available for the first round. That's really, really helpful when you don't have to handcuff yourself to take a certain position. I don't want the Steelers to have to take a running back in round 1. I don't want them to have to. I'm okay if they do. I just don't want them to have to. You don't want them to have to do anything. So, Rich, I know we still got time for the draft. I feel like we've done this show, and we should have done this 2 days before the draft. But this is kind of how it goes right now. So this was a lot of fun, just talking about positions, not really going into specific players.
No, we should record. Yeah, make sure we got this show somewhere, because 3 weeks from now I'll probably disagree with everything I said.
And you know what? One free agent signing. The Steelers go out and sign a tight end. Boom, that's off my list.
Right. It's just,
Mm-hmm. I said if the Steelers picked up a running back, boom, it'd be off my list. They picked up one last week, but not one that I felt was that would be inserted towards the top of the depth chart for me. So that's why I still don't feel that way. Because that's the thing. The Steelers could pick up a tight end. I know someone said I didn't mention Dax Raymond. That's a guy that was, just trying to catch on with teams last year. So, it's sometimes you can find a diamond in the rough, but you can't just completely depend on that diamond in the rough guy. So, but we're still coming at you here with all the podcasts. We have our same lineup. Of course, things will be a little bit different during the draft. We are working on how that's going to pan out so we can even let you all know what to expect with the draft. You're going to be getting some extra shows. Obviously, we're not going to have our regular YouTube shows because we'll have other shows in their place on the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of the draft. But we'll have some other things, and we'll announce that stuff when we have that all set better for you all, so you will be ready. In case you don't catch it when we let you know, make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel, turning on the notifications, get that ding or whatever it is that whenever BTSC is going live, so that way you can join us. Make sure you're checking all the audio podcasts and, of course, visiting BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. Rich, anything you want to say here tonight before we head out?
No, just everybody hang in there. I know it's going to be a long wait for the draft to get here, but it'll get here. Yeah. And then we'll have so much to talk about. And then you'll get tired of hearing us. No, nobody ever gets tired of hearing us.
Before you know it, we're going to be in the ultimate dead zone of the NFL season, which is June.
Yeah,
we'll be like, oh, what are we going to do?
Yeah,
in the beginning of July. But hey, we're going to be here through all of it. We're going to be coming at you every Tuesday night, the two of us, and who knows what the topic will be next week, but we'll be here. How about you, Rich?
I can't wait.